Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, where I'm happy to introduce the iconic Terran. In the blue, it's Micro Jackson, ByuN, up against the dramatic, emotional, and exciting Protoss in the red. Of course, it's Creator. A best of 3 TVP, and Creator with a probe not exactly where it's supposed to be. I guess that's mostly a matter of opinion, but I guess there's only one more thing really expected of me, which is to beg you for likes and subscribes, because it's absolutely free. And, I thought it was pretty good. 1,255 likes on this video, on this cast, on this dramatic introduction. I'll cast another series. And I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And oh, it's a dark shot. Hopefully it's about to get just a little bit cheesier. He's just proxying a dark shot. Good old-fashioned DT rush. 25 years old at this point, and not getting any younger. But those DTs have a very real chance of getting the damage done. It's just a double Cyclone start. No scout double Cyclone start for ByuN, of course. Scouting is for nerds. And ByuN ain't no nerd. Just starting it out. There's nothing in the early game that can directly counter the Cyclones, unless for some reason Creator had gone one base, which ByuN correctly gambling. Yep. Because any of those early gateway units, we're going to dance around the watchtower here. The vision blockers, making things difficult for both sides. But they're, unless it's some sort of multiple gateway proxy, there's nothing that's going to compete with the Cyclones out of the gateway. They're faster, they can attack while moving, and outrange those units. So they're just a direct counter. The one thing that Cyclones don't have is detection. Now, ByuN is sending... A lot of Terran players will build the Raven, but so few will use it for its inherent purpose of detection. Will ByuN see the DT? Does he raise the depot? Is he looking? Yes! Stop right there, criminal scum. The Raven has to come back home, though. As ByuN dropped both mules, he doesn't have the energy, so he keeps the DTs out of his house. But right now, they're roaming around the front lawn and murdering all his friends. So, we'll see how much the DT is able to get done before the Raven comes back. Creator, no warning. 3 SCVs down, a bit of mining time. Creator used the map control afforded by the deets here in order to get a third base, which I think a pretty solid move overall. As now he knows it's Cyclones, it's Raven, it's not going to be a strong bio push, and ByuN is bottled up in his base until he's willing to risk moving out into the unknown. And it's going to be War Prism DT. There is no interference matrices. He didn't get the research for it, but another DT into the natural. Oh, the SCVs slipped away. I'm pretty sure it was the siege tank who did the damage to the SCV there. Archon is merging. Something a little spicy. Well, the Cyclones and Raven should be enough to defend. So now we're in this awkward spot where both players... This happens more often in Terran vs. Protoss than any other matchup, I feel. Where we've gotten past the early game, and now there's such a big question mark on both players as to when they're safe to move out. The Archon comes in and will take out several of the Marines. I think Creator doing some really active defense here, where he sits right outside ByuN's base. He's masking his expansion at the back with aggression. He's going to make it look like he's doing some sort of coherent attack. See if ByuN sees through it. ByuN already has a third command center done. Of course, landing it and mining from it is a bit more difficult. But this is just Creator saying, well, if you move out, you don't know, all right? There could be enough units to just absolutely smash you. So 63 probes to 50 SCVs and counting. 1-1 on the way for both sides. ByuN will have an advantage, but Creator does have Chrono Boost if he decides, yep, investing it into those forges. And he's just going to go slap down a 4th base. There's still the Dark Shrine out there. May eventually be taken out if the game goes on long enough and ByuN spots it. I mean, so the Dark Shrine being proxied was kind of unnecessary, as ByuN didn't scout at all into the main, but if he had a Reaper or something along those lines, he may have spotted it if it was in the main base. So the idea was there, it's just ByuN didn't respect the Protoss enough to bother scouting, which is on brand. Hallucinated Phoenix looking around. Creator, 69 probes, which is a nice start economically. He's got all the fixins here, your mid-game upgrades. Colossi with extended thermal lance halfway done. Blink just finished. Charge queued up behind and 1-1 about to complete. ByuN has 1-1 completed himself. But no armory. Oh, he does have an armory. So should be starting to ByuN. Thank you. Upgrades on the way as we reach the Cold War phase of Terran versus Protoss. The question will be, which player decides to get more aggressive? They're both going to be at similar supplies. I think Creator with extended thermal lance, the 4th base on the way, and with how many Colossi? 3 Colossi? That's enough to move out, and he still has that Prism out there. So, with an Immortal and an Archon, the home defense force a little beefier than usual. I think it's on Creator to zone ByuN out. Oh my. The Marines spotted it. The entire army's kind of chasing it down, which a Zealot at the center of the map spotted ByuN moving out. But I think Creator's going to have the initiative here. With more economy, more production. It's actually, I assume there was an observer spotted. It's actually more on Creator to whittle down ByuN's force. And there goes the Dark Shrine. We'll see if he rebuilds at any point. As time goes on and Ghosts and Vikings get added into the composition, it becomes more and more difficult to trade efficiently as the Protoss. A bit of a role reversal from if you haven't played since Wings of Liberty. All right, how's the back pain? 2-2 is on the way for both sides. ByuN with a slight edge, but Chrono Boost could dull it. Disruptor on the way. How many robos? Just the 1 robo. But a 5th Nexus on the way. 9 gates done. Creator actually a bit lacking got the production for the late game. But for now, we'll have more than enough to fill it out. Map control will go to the Protoss. But so far, yeah, quite a... we're 10 minutes in with only a handful of losses. The early DT skirmish. And some scouting units, but here's the 2-2 coming in. As almost dead even on those upgrades. They're both maxed out, or close enough to it. Templar Archives on the way, more Vikings in production. But Creator starting to split off some units. The charge lot's headed in. Another group into the northern base. 7 SCVs down. All this, well, 15 SCVs. It's starting to add up. Mules will drop behind, replacing those workers with automation. It's happening everywhere. Storm on the way, another robo. Only 9 gates still for Creator. Where's that Prism? It's around there somewhere. It's still sitting in the main. Kind of like it as a potential, a harder defense to crack here. Immortal, Archon, Warp Prism in the main. The Viking count, 10 of them out in the center of the map here. We now have Observer speed on the way as well. No Liberators yet. Relevant because the Disruptors are starting to fling out those Purification Novas. And a Fusion Core immediately starts on seeing it for ByuN. So clearly intended on Battle Cruiser. I get excited. It's been a while since we've seen Battle Cruisers, but feedback on the Raven. Well before any EMPs come through. More Disruptor shots. EMP around the corner. The Disruptors are zoning out, but the Bio Army. The DPS is so damn high. They're Adepts at the back. The Adepts find a few SCV kills. I think that was just Creator trying to replace the The Adepts just don't age well, alright? They cost more than a Zealot. They suffer from the same weaknesses as a Stalker. It's incredibly unlikely you're going to make much use out of the Shades in the actual fight. And now, well, speaking of upgrading the tech, a fleet beacon is on the way, as well as 2 more Stargates and +1 Protoss air weapons. And there's Dark Shrine number 2 coming on down. Caduceus Reactor is the first choice out of ByuN, who's building 4 more command centers at once. Well, the CCPM begins to raise, as will the price of the units that are being produced. For both sides here. +2 ship weapons. Oh my, bit of a time stop. Still an observer at the front, spotting most of this. Warp Prism speed is done. Loads up. What do we got in there? 4 Zealots. The classic. But multiple turrets. Will zone out, but manages to drop the Zealots in towards the 3rd. ByuN's army a bit spread out right now. As a force looking to attack the northern base while he takes the gold. Or the Rich Vespene, not the gold, I'm sorry. Warp Prism is knocked down. Hey, you know, Rich Vespene is like purple gold. Rich Vespene is more valuable than gold minerals most of the time. But Disruptor Shot, looking for an opportunity. Finds a ghost or 2. Colossi burning through the turrets. Another, oh no! And, oh god. Most of the splash damage of the army just washed away there. 2 Colossi and 2 high-energy Templar. More storms, but they're far too little and far too late. More EMPs from the left flank. The Bio army is just tearing through any extraneous units. And Creator already starting to bleed out so much. The DTs have to dodge the Disruptor shots. More storms. Another Colossus down. As ByuN just pulling the strings of Creator and strangling him in the process. Oh my. Creator has lost so many key units now. He's lost 3,800 to 1,400 gas. And the ghosts come in again. Disruptor shots. Find nothing. 0 for 2. Shack at the free throw line. We got 3 carriers on the way. 4 Liberators in production as things are escalating in the most literal sense to the skies. DT Blink in production. Which, a bit later than we might have expected to see it, considering how the game started, but here we are now. A whole bunch of DTs waiting for that opportunity, but ByuN's gonna wall off his planetary, probably with more planetaries, which is just an architectural genius that should be studied for many generations. Speaking of, building armor completed as well. The launch tower, choke point. The DTs go for the planetary. We'll get it. Don't need Blink with that many sides slicing through. And the command centers will be canceled. The entire project over here, the entire set, the entire subdivision of command centers to the north will be shut down. More carriers arriving out of the Stargates. High-sec auto-tracking on the way, plus 3 ship weapons in production. Only +1 attack on the carriers. Disruptor shots. Archon just melted. And liberation is at hand. The Venn diagram of freedom overlapping across the map. And with those... Oh, he blinks through. Disruptors to cover, but more of a danger to the Protoss than the Terran right now. ISAC auto-tracking. Now completed for whatever... Well, I guess it's also for the planetaries. There's 6 orbital commands. The structures tab is getting dangerously close to taking up most of the top of the screen. I don't know if, like, if you have literally every building, will that... we may get there. It's not like they have stacks or something, like an inventory. Meanwhile, DT is to the north. Pin cushioned by the Liberator, but slicing up the SCVs, 18 or down, or apart. Doesn't really matter which direction. The end result is the relevant part. Anyways. Vikings hit the deck. 22 SCVs dead, which ByuN says, thank you. Finally. as now he's no longer liable for severance packages because he's just going to replace them with automation once again. I doubt ByuN will find his way past 60 SCVs again, as he's sitting on 6, could easily be 10 orbitals. Creator still at 82 workers, which means the army supplies will be in favor of the Terran for the foreseeable future, unless something horrible happens to Creator's pros. And the scan. You were hiding the carriers, but there's no hiding it from map hacks and a mineral-based package. The scans, scouting constantly, and he spots the carrier switch. It was already kind of expected, but confirming it is certainly going to be helpful. Oh my god, the asphyxiating choke point here. Strangling the army. The disruptor's coming through. Even the purification nova struggling. And Creator, freeing up supply is a generous way to put losing most of your splash damage in the middle of the map. But, you know, it's one way to put it indeed. Whatever random gateway unit you can put together. Creator, gonna kill some more SCVs. The battle will continue. Disruptor gets dangerously close to looking useful. DT's gunned down. One escapes, but not for long. Gets its knees broken by the concussive shells. Another DT to the north side. His friend comes over to join it in solidarity, waiting for the command center to land. As the southern part of the map, this map, quite interesting in how kind of district-based it is, where the southern part of the map is almost locked down early on from the minerals and rock walls here, but it usually becomes where the late game is fought, as the northern part is a little more easily accessible and surprisingly uncontested. But once these rich Vespene geysers mine out, so they don't have access to more gas, they just mine it faster. That is the benefit of gold and rich Vespene geysers. So the actual resource count, a volley of scans, honestly, at some point, like if you have 10 orbitals, you should just have a button that scans the whole map and gives you perfect vision. All right, maybe that would save Terran's wrists. Okay, get to the great, like, the library of Terran that can just, you see the whole map for like 15 seconds per minute. It's like, but that's a nerf, because now I can scan whatever I want all the time. You know what? Give Terrans wonders. Maybe that will content them. Doubt it. Damn, that's a lot of carriers. Never mind, it's one less. 22 Vikings. But Storm, a historical and StarCraft-based counter to Vikings. Well, carriers. The turret count just scattered throughout. I feel like we've seen this game before with Nightmare on the other side. Creator taking his own, well, the DT defense is strong enough. ByuN definitely has experience here. Creator's had a bit more of a ham-fisted way about it. Instead of Tempest and Templar, instead relying mostly on the carriers. There are Templar underneath, but only a handful of them, assuming you can fit 2 Templar in your hand. Which, you know, sounds about right. Here come the Vikings. Looking to pick it off. Oh, EMPs land. And that means no more storms. The Vikings are closing in autumn colors right now from the storms earlier. Not exactly sure how it's going to work out, as it's +2 air weapons and +3 shields against 3-1 Vikings. +2 plating about to complete. Interceptors are relatively low damage, but they do multiple attacks. So armor upgrades are very effective against carriers, but weapon upgrades are also very important to upgrade them. So, what I'm trying, that's a fancy way of saying, I don't know, bro. I think the carriers would win a heads-up fight with a bit of micro against the Vikings, and clearly ByuN thinks that as well, or he'd be chasing him down. But if exposed, and if the interceptors aren't on the Vikings, it's likely that multiple carriers can be bled out with minimal losses. Alright, DT's trying to distract. That angle is great for the Vikings, but he had Templar in the Prism! A smart move there to try to keep the Vikings at bay. A couple SCVs pulled off to repair, but then they start working on the turrets and will no longer repair. Typical contractors. It's like we're getting paid way more for these turrets, alright? We can just rebuild the Vikings. We get 10%. Alright, Disruptor shot. Trying to zone out on the ground. The carrier count. 11 of them. The DTs slice through one of the bases. Creator has 10,000 minerals, but only 2,200 gas in the bank. The Stalker's trying to zone out. Carrier knocked down. I don't know. Creator's taking so many bases, but can he leverage the Zealots? What does ByuN even have on the ground now? He has 10 Liberators, 8 Marauders, and 3 Marines. And 6 Ghosts. Which is not an insignificant ground force. How many gateways? 17 gateways for Creator. But the Vikings easily killing these carriers in a single volley. More than enough of them. The interceptors will eventually get flung out, but it takes a bit of time to launch them all. Graviton catapult is a thing of the distant past now. So the interceptors have to, at some point, I think it's worth it to attack your own buildings to launch the interceptors and then essentially slingshot them. Now, there's a lot to unpack there with the Ghost EMPing the Ghost Academy with DTs on top of that, revealing it, which, they learned that at the Academy, so I guess an appropriate turnaround. Actually, they have EMP baseline, but the idea's there. Just let's not think too hard. So one thing we're missing, and it's arguable if we're missing it, Mothership. Not for fighting, but for an extra recall to reposition the carriers. Which, so far, so good, as ByuN has no tactical jump on his Vikings. Unfortunately for him, wow, oh my god. Oh my god, the planetary didn't die. The planetary's not dying! Oh no! It's a disaster for Creator! He tried to kill the planetary, but he has building armor! Ah! The carriers right-clicked on it. They could have been doing so. He expected to just burn it down and clear out the base. But the planetary holds. And that is a fight that Creator was expecting to win decisively, but instead, Creator has lost 8,000 more gas. Okay? That is untenable. So far, Creator has mined 4,000 more gas. He's lost 8,000 more gas, all right?
The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you.
And this is not a game that's going to be won by Zealots. There are no other units in the Protoss arsenal besides probes, and we can go ahead and pretend cannons are related. That only cost, yes, interceptors, but you need the carrier, but I do think that Creator, more scans, keeping tabs on it. He started tectonic destabilizers on the fleet beacon, implying he's thinking about Tempests, which Tempests are more guaranteed damage. Especially against, you know, planetary fortresses. Creator's white whale. Alright. Man the Tempest and get the disintegrators. The whale has, the planetary has been spotted. Alright, well, the Vikings fighting here. EMPs, you can EMP the interceptors, which they have equal shields. A storm comes through, but down goes a lot of the carriers. This fight is all over the place, with the planetaries and the turrets backing it up. Creator's gas is almost entirely gone as he builds 4 Tempests at a time here. It's hard to... Well, a nuke! ByuN doesn't have minerals, but Creator doesn't have gas, and I don't think we're going to be working out a trade agreement here. The nuke is canceled as the Ghost gets taken out uncloaked, but there was detection anyways. More disruptors. Dodges on the ground. The carrier will be taken out, but most of the Vikings are badly bruised. The fight will continue. The Bio Army is coming back together. ByuN has no money, but Creator has no gas, which I don't know how it's come down to this. They've both been remarkably inefficient in different ways. Flux Veins, Creator, are you just pressing the buttons up? The Disruptor finally gets a hit worthy of note, and indeed, ByuN Supply. At this point, he just needs to be warping in on Legacy of the Void cinematic of Zealots on every cooldown. There are 20 gateways. All right, 20 Zealots every 30 seconds or so may be enough to stop this. Blinking over the top, taking out the Liberators, which are the best defense against it. There's no planetary at the back. The Zealots, where are you going? They're retreating here. There's a couple Tempests shelling the planetary fortress. The Ghosts are coming up, but the Zealots come around again. ByuN still has the Ghosts on the back line. Widow Mines in production. Again, the planetary will be repaired. Why did you only pull like 2 SCVs, ByuN? You need more than that. He's realizing it now, but it's too late. The disintegrators are too much. The Dorito-dusted Tempest, but the Zealots and the Gateway units are coming through as we've devolved down the tech tree back to Bio versus Gateway. But the Zealots can't crack the defenses. The Bio Army is too strong with the Caduceus Reactor Benefax. And now the Stalkers are left on their own. But is there enough Bio? Again, the surface area of the Zealots a little bit better here. The Widow Mines work both ways, but Creator just has so many minerals in the bank. I think he's going to be able to overwhelm. The Ghosts are actually remarkably great against the Zealots, but the Disruptor is a deadly danger indeed. 28 SCVs dead. ByuN is out of minerals, and Creator is out of gas. But I said this game wouldn't be won by Zealots, but we can edit that in post, Jimmy. Now there are 31 Zealots on the field, going through a choke point approximately 3 Zealots wide. And ByuN can't sustain his production. The Bio Army, the Disruptor! That one Disruptor. And now still some Liberators. The Vikings just kind of flying over the Stalkers, which is drawing fire. He might be able to kill the Tempest anyways. No, 1 HP. Backing off into the Liberation Zones. Creator is bleeding out so many Zealots right now. It's absolute a massacre on both sides. The Disruptor shot over the top, but the Blink Stalker is able to get one of them. ByuN's still fighting. He's down 50 supply. He's still got the minerals. He's still got the production. And without Disruptors, the Bio Army will not be outright broken. Unless the Zealots are just so overwhelming. He can't heal through. Colossi are back on the menu. As Creator tries to fill in whatever he can. I think there's a Templar in the Prism. ByuN is still building Marines and Ghosts. Orbitals are burning. How many he still has 7 orbitals left. Still some Liberators involved. That Templar in the Prism looking for an opportunity. More EMPs. What are the probes doing here? The probes are sacrificed. I guess there's not too many mineral patches left to mine. And more probes getting involved. I don't know. It looks like he was actually transferring them. I don't know how they ended up there. Zealots coming in, trying to close it on both sides. The Bio Army at point-blank range. The Disruptor is off cooldown. It gets a good shot. Kills a few Zealots, but they'll expect some of us in the wreckage, brothers. Creator is maxed out. ByuN is not dead. But he has... It's been a brutal exchange. He gets the orbital. The Tempests are slowly but surely shelling. Disruptors. How many Zealots? 130. Honestly, that feels a lot lower. And, well, this base, it has full... It's a little late for a recall. The main army, that's a lot of Protoss right there. Not too much splash damage, but he's angling to defend. Sieges up the Liberators. The Disruptor zoning out. I don't know if there are any others. There's something in the Prism here. And the storms come through. Colossi follow up. GG. ByuN finally taps out. Creator is able to stabilize well enough and survive the onslaught. ByuN, not quite enough. 45 DTs dead. Just such a wild mixed bag of units lost. But at the end of the day, Creator is able to overwhelm. Wow. Quite a topsy-turvy mid-game, ending in a... Neither player particularly comfortable with that late-game siege, but instead reverting with a severe lack of resources into a more mid-game attrition style. Well, and that gives Creator a one-game lead to start things off. I'm sure he's happy about it, though. Certainly stressed. As we go into Oceanborn. An early probe on the way across. Nothing resembling a scout from ByuN. So the usual openers here. Is this a... Yeah, just straight up one racks expand? Kind of rare nowadays. ByuN is getting a Marine first, which means you can get your factory quicker with the gas, though you don't get the scouting from the Reaper. And Creator is going for a Reaper wall, which is essentially just a liability if they don't go for the Reaper, as you can potentially use it against them. Cyclones, high ground vision, you know. Creator, it felt like he tried a bit of everything. He used almost every prototype. I think he even researched Flux Veins by the end, despite not building any Void Race. Maybe this game, as he just slaps a Stargate down at the front. Looks like it's going to be the Scoutless Cyclone. Oh, the Scouting Hellion. In order to start things off. But an Adept will make things at least a little difficult. The command center finishes. SCV pops in. Gonna just kill them, right? Oh my. There goes. They gone. So the probe tapped the SCV because notoriously it takes Adepts 2 hits to bring an SCV. So it takes 3 hits to kill SCVs with Oracles and Adepts. But 2 hits do 44 damage. Marines and SCVs have 45 health. So that means if a probe gives them a light love tap, they will die. Oh. So it's not an accident doing just 1 hit with a probe many of the times against as many workers or Marines as possible, as that brings them into a significantly more dangerous territory against early game units. It looks like Creator looking to fill in all the units he didn't build last game, like Phoenixes, maybe Oracles, with units this game, as he looks to complete his achievements for this series. It's going to be Phoenixes. There is a Widow Mine on the ramp where it's almost impossible to spot. Technically, I think he noticed it there. Will he go for the Shade Away? Or just ignore it entirely? Lifts up the sight. Okay, well, that's a no then. Widow Mine does critical damage to the Phoenix. At least it doesn't kill it. It'll just be constantly stressed out, like many life-changing and traumatic events. Robo Bay already on the way, so instead of going for the high economy, so in terms of more grand strategy games, this is like building tall instead of wide. So instead of going for a huge economy in order to build cheaper but overwhelming units, Creator is going for the high tech in order to have the more efficient ones. Not necessarily by choice here, but as the best option against ByuN is doing something similar. Oh, yes, he did it. So you have about a 0.5 second margin to do that right. Worst case scenario, the Adept dies. Best case, you kill the Widowmine. Middle case, you get distracted and a Liberator kills 6 of your probes. You cancel your Nexus. The Phoenixes will eventually come back, but now your economy is in dire straits. Your unit composition is mediocre, and your opponent is taking a third base and upping their production in a way that you can't really compete with. Which is the case we're in right now. The problem with the brittleness of the early Protoss tech, the vulnerability to Cyclones, Widowmines, is a sticking point here, and one that ByuN indeed stuck Creator with. Going to try to get some damage done with the Phoenixes. ByuN and his hubris not building a turret. Not that it would necessarily help much against this. Cyclones come back and actually knock out one of the Phoenixes. Gonna try to come in. A siege tank could easily be taken out by the Immortals. It's actually harder to take down the Marine. But ByuN has his production online. Creator doesn't have an incredible economy here. In fact, his Nexus is later than ByuN's third command center. So, overall, I think if you're ByuN in this scenario, feeling pretty good about, yeah, just ignoring the feed. They run out of energy. They can only kill. There's a quota that they can fill, and then they're not allowed to kill any more SCVs. A lot of, much like Oracles as well. So ByuN just eats the losses, tries to intercept the Phoenixes on the way back, finishes what the mine started earlier. But a bit of an awkward positioning means those Cyclones are finally taken out. And the tank, just misses, but he will incinerate some of the Marines. Meanwhile, though, drop at the back. Trying to go Phoenix Colossus, but just struggling to keep the Phoenixes alive. This is actually quite a rough... Oh, I love that micro in order to minimize the Colossus damage. It's not going to do too much, but it does give him a few more shots. Because technically the Colossi, they do damage in like a line cone. You know what, we're not explaining geometry here today, but if you slightly stagger units like that, it does actually mitigate the Colossus shots. You'll see it a lot more with Marauders than with Marines themselves, as ideally the Marauders are the ones, they like a nice charbroil. Maybe that's more Zerg based, but... Extended Thermal Lance nearly completed, which is always exciting. +1, ground weapons, still a while off for Creator. Trying to get something done. It's on Creator to take the initiative this game a lot more than the last one, because the worker count, the economies, he knows ByuN has his production online, and once the Terran gets 5 racks, a factory, and that reactored starport running, and you don't have, like, a critical mass unit composition as Protoss, you're kind of thin ice right now. And the drop comes in, so this is exactly what Phoenix Colossus is best at defending. Individual drops. So this a bit of a misplay, but ByuN trying to take advantage of it. The second army a bit later. So, Creator had time to dismantle a lot of that first drop, but he loses a Colossus. A recall onto the Marauders. This is a risky business. And in fact, the Marauders... Yeah, oh god. From the fire into the frying pan. Yeah, either way. Well, looks like Creator just... jumped, recalled onto ByuN's sword there. Yeah. Well, that's an absolute disaster. Oh, God. And it continues. Oh, he doesn't have any energy for them. They're still... Oh, it's going from bad to worse to even worsely bad. ByuN... The Zealots don't even have charge. He's still killing probes. Creator... doesn't want to tap out of the game. ByuN has 69 SCVs. He says that's nice. No, he's actually building more SCVs. ByuN broke it open here. Widowman's trying to split against him. The Nexus. Oh, you gotta be careful closing the door of the net. Oh, everyone, walk very softly. We don't walk at all. We're probes. Okay, Zealots. This is where I bring out Day 9's most funnest fact, which is if you chrono boost the Nexus, that technically allows its shields to regenerate more quickly. And if you repair the Nexus, which you can do if you have a... Wait, no. Nexi aren't mechanical. And I doubt many Protoss have SCV friends. So anyways, that Nexus will have 3 HP until it either has 0 or the game ends. So, which, you know, could happen one after another very quickly. The fact that that Nexus is still alive is the only thing giving Creator a fool's hope in this game. But right now, this army from ByuN, he has a 2 upgrade. He has +2 armor and +2 weapons against just +2 attack. Shield battery overcharge. A few Marines gonna get roasted there, but 3-3 is already on the way. ByuN has a 4th base. He's got ghosts. He's getting a 2nd starport. He's got more workers. Creator doesn't have disruptors or DTs, the double Ds of destruction that oftentimes are required in order to kind of roll the dice and bring you back into the game. So it is on ByuN to make a massive mistake and Creator to play perfect at this stage. As the Bio Army. Now, there are 2 Colossi now, which is a dangerous amount, but still not enough to really respect. As ByuN just tearing through everything on the ground. He's just weathering the Colossi here. The Marauders are literally running past the Zealots. So disrespectful. He just runs through the charge lots and eventually knocks down the Colossi at his leisure. And that will tie up the series 1-1. Wow. Creator got nothing going, and then he got knocked down a couple pegs from there. A much tougher game to recover from. And now we're all tied up going into the decider. Game number 3. And Solar is Solaris. Quite a fun series thus far. Like, Creator is a bit of a gambler. He has the highest highs, the lowest lows, and he'll let you know it. If you haven't yet watched Creator versus Gumiho from DreamHack Atlanta, when Creator, I'm not going to spoil when, but at some point got so upset he kicked his computer and disconnected either the monitor or the Ethernet cable or something, and they had to restart from replay, which, not restart the game, we can jump back in, but he disconnected his computer when he was freaking out, which is hilarious. Like when you're at home and you've kicked your computer enough. Not that anyone here has done, of course not. But you know, like, which direction to exert your anger. But when you're, like, on stage and you having a conniption in an exciting and dramatic way, sometimes you lash out and the Ethernet cable's right there. I don't actually know what happened. I think he might have just unplugged the power cable. Who knows? But few PC setups can survive Creator at length, especially in a high-stakes series. So, all right. First adept. Let's see. Do we have Jimmy? Oh yes. This is from within 30 seconds. Not the series I was talking about, but all taken within about 30 seconds of each other. That seems about to summarize it. I believe he won that series, whatever that was from, but looks like ByuN's found his build. He's gonna go with the Cyclones. No Scout Cyclones again, so this is his go-to Terran versus Protoss strategy. But Creator, does he? That was a bold shade. I think he was trying to preempt the Cyclones locking on, so that way he could reposition, which, you know, might have worked if ByuN decided to commit. Blink on the way this time around, though. We are getting back to the blink timing. It is 4 clones for ByuN. He's doubled it, which, you know, easy enough with cloning. Adept shading out. Spots the clones. There is a shield battery. Is that enough? We're gonna find out. With the threat of shield battery overcharge. If there was an overcharge, I think the clones could just burn through it with relative ease. So maybe something for next patch. Clones should do extra damage to shields. It's a 1 base. No, we're gonna go back. Jimmy, edit and post. I've already begged for likes and subscribes. We did that at the start. Ooh. It is a no starport 2 base push from ByuN. We've got 3 Raxes and a siege tank. So he's looking to smash the blink here. So the major weakness, Creator, the boys. The major weakness of blink is you're reliant entirely on stalkers, essentially kiting and zoning. But it is not a brute force composition. Creator has 6 stalkers and 2 adepts against a lot more army. He's warping in more stalkers, but ByuN's already knocking on the door, ready to bash it down. Those siege tanks unleash their first volley. The SCVs are here to repair any of the chip damage. If Creator doesn't hold this outright, he won't be holding it at all. Looks like more probes straying into siege tank fire. He is in range. There's a pylon to back up the first one. Creator actually blinks around. Genius move here from Creator, but I think ByuN spotted it just in time. Scans up to the high ground. The shield batteries are coming online, trying to buy time here. Catching the reinforcements. The bunker push from ByuN. 10 probes down. And more shield batteries. He's fighting with the probes, but the Cyclones will kill him just the same. Here comes the Immortal. Blocks on top of the tanks. Gets 1. And that's it. The Cyclones still joining up. He's still got 2 siege tanks intact. Shield battery overcharge is gone. The Immortal is gone. And the unstoppable Marines are just tearing their way through. ByuN doesn't want to go to the late game. He doesn't even want to go to the mid game. All he wants is this to be his game. And right now, it's certainly looking like it will be. Charge is done for 0 zealots. But that is not enough. He's building an edgy bay wall. Oh my. ByuN back at it again. Creator not tapping it out. But he's dead, Jim.
He's dead, Jim.
There's a maybe if he rips out ByuN's Ethernet. Nope. ByuN will take it home with 2 games back to back. A dramatic and exciting, but a decisive series at the end of the day. An exciting one though. ByuN's bunker push. Some disgusting but effective Terran to cap things off. ByuN takes it 2-1. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I hope I made your day just a little bit better. If you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon, YouTube membership as well. All of that. But if you're liking and subscribing, it's still free for now. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out the second channel for more content. You got your stream VODs. You got other games that shall not be named. But so much exciting stuff after you're done here. And checking recommended as well. That's been very helpful. It's been the best month I've ever had on YouTube. So I'm going to keep selling out in the same way because it seems to be working. Thank you for watching. Good luck. Have fun. I'll see you next time. Stay tuned.